Hi, I'm Susan Lewis from WRTI. I'm here with Daniel Matsukawa, principal bassoon of the Philadelphia Orchestra and founder and creator of Requiem-20, a musical response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Hi, Danny.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's great to talk to you. And, you do so much besides your position at the Philadelphia Orchestra. You do chamber music, you conduct ensembles, you teach at the Curtis Institute of Music and the Boyer College of Music at Temple, and you're involved with the Musical Mentors Collaborative. Tell us about how this video tribute, Requiem 20, came to be.
Well, I'll begin by saying that the Musical Mentors Collaborative, I just want to applaud what they do, which is an amazing organization where they get instruments into the hands of young people who are, I would just say they're underrepresented or underserved, and they would have less access to instruments otherwise, or less exposure to music. The MMC, if I may call it that, they provide guitars as well and give guitar lessons and all other instruments, violins, wind instruments, and it's a really fantastic thing. And then they give free lessons, and in the meantime, those who are teaching those lessons, they're sort of young artists, but they're getting paid through the MMC, the collaborative, and the MMC is providing for these young artists to also then help and nurture and teach really young, we can call them children or young students, again, who've never played an instrument before, getting instruments into their hands. And so I was asked to become, and it's kind of a funny term, I always joke about it with them. They call me a grand mentor, and I was like, I don't even know what that means. I'm not one of the teachers, but I guess I'm one of the grand mentors. I'm in good company. I think people like Manny Axe is another grand mentor. So we've had a few Zoom meetings. So the way this came about, the birth of this idea, was during one of the meetings. We were just talking in general about this time, and this was during the summer of 2020, and of course, right in the heart of all of this. And I was just saying, I wonder if there's something we can also do in response to the world today and what's going on and what's happening. I remember years ago, I visited a grade school and brought my instrument, and I played for these children in a classroom, and I introduced my bassoon and talked about music and so on. And then a few days later, I was surprised with this beautiful big package of just little notes from each student saying how much they love music now and how much they loved bassoon. They didn't know what a bassoon was. I love the different grammatical errors and spellings of all sorts, which is just so endearing and heartwarming. But I remembered this array of these cards as like a montage. And I said, wouldn't it be cool if we could do something like this in a form of musical works, like have a montage and perhaps have a composer give a little bit of a 1 or 2 minute piece, and then have another composer do the same thing, and then we would have again a series of postcards. So we were thinking, what should we do? Should we have one composer start a work and then pass it on to the next composer and next composer? And originally we were going to do 20 composers in the year 2020, and all in their 20s, and in response to COVID-19. But then we thought, okay, if they do 2 to 3 minutes each, that's going to be like an hour-long work, and that's a lot. And also, if we end up sending one work to one composer and so forth, and giving them each 2 weeks, we're never going to be done with this. It'll probably take a couple of years for this project. So then we nixed that, and we said, and we thought, okay, let's just make this pitch to composers and have them just write a 2 minute little composition in response to their own personal feelings of the world right now. And it could be about grief. It could also just be response to the pandemic, what it means for you. Some people might have experience personal loss, someone they knew and someone they love. And some people, it's just a different kind of loss in general. There is a huge array, I would just say, that it's covered in terms of the definition of loss during this time. Loss of, civilization as we knew it, the loss of our personal lives and daily lives, our routines, seeing loved ones, our families, our parents, our grandparents. I mean, we can go on and on. The loss of personal income because of the loss of businesses. But the main thing is that there's a lot of loss as we knew it. And so what can we do? And then the idea changed from, all right, instead of doing 20 composers, let's also slim it down. We ended up with 11 composers. And then I also said, I want to reach out and reach as many people as possible. And so let's do different genres. If we can, let's find a jazz musician, even hip hop. Is there a rock musician? These perhaps young composers who might be able to reflect on what's going on in the world today.
You found these composers of different genres. The performers are teaching artists from Musical Mentors Collaborative. Is that right?
Yes.
And so you paired them up?
Yes. And some of the composers themselves, they knew an artist personally and they requested, can I have this person who is very dear to me? And we're like, of course, can I have that person perform in my work or perform my work, depending on what it is and what it was.
And the videos, how did that all come to be?
So some of them, we asked the composers what they wanted to do. Some of them wanted to take charge and they wanted to, produce the video themselves. And I think those who found their own performers, I think one or two are in fact their very own, they're the composers themselves and the performers. And so they ended up just doing their own videos. Then a couple of them wanted to just send us the music. We found the people to perform, and then we put the stuff together. The other thing is we decided to make a new website just dedicated to Requiem-20. And what we're hoping for, and this is, I guess, a little bit of a shout out to all artists and composers out there, feel free to add to this. Like if you have something you want to share, if you're wanting to express your own musical expression right now during this time of this pandemic, during this time of COVID-19, during this time of loss, again, in whatever way, shape, or form, in whatever way it means to you, feel free if you want to compose something, please share it on our website, and more people will hopefully be able to view it. Again, loss is a huge word. Grief is a even bigger word in many ways. We all have a different means of expressing that grief. You'll see this through this Requiem-20, again, this montage that for some people you can tell it's about loss, like the tableau number 4, the images in there, you'll see the really dark, haunting images of these mass grave sites. And then some of the other composers, it was just about being locked up in your home and what it meant, and you can, and their expression as you can hear in the one hip hop song in the montage as well. And that was not about death. That was just more about like what these artists were missing in the loss of their daily lives. It's again expressions and reflections. The main point is the website, Requiem-20 website, is an invitation to all artists and all composers and musicians. Like it doesn't even have to be a brand new work. If you don't have to be a composer, but if you're a musician out there and you want to play a little bit of Bach, and it's a reflection of what this time means for you, by all means, feel free to share that on our platform.
Is there a connection between grief and loss and healing? By listening to this music, what is your hope it will give people?
I guess it goes along goes along the lines of what I was just mentioning in terms of for different people, grief means different things, and also people deal with grief differently and individually. And same with this sense of like when you listen to the various works, I'm hoping that it will give you either, we can call it peace, we can call it healing, we can call it love, we can call it comfort. What you need, take what you need from this. In a way, it's like, we miss our audiences so much, and we miss being creative artists. We miss performing every week. We miss like putting it out there. We're now being like sort of pent up, and we're being held, and all these emotions are we're not able to do this. And so I often say this too, for the listeners, the people who do come to hear us. And some of my friends, they're like, oh, I don't want to go. I'm not, I don't really know anything about, for example, classical music, as a genre. And I said, you don't have to know anything, and just bring your ears. You don't need to bring any kind of anticipation or expectation either. Don't even come with what to expect. Just bring your ears. And I said, whatever it does for you, like it does for you. Like for some people, it could mean peace. It could mean power. It could mean healing. It could mean love. It could mean, so many different things. And that's the beauty of it. The other beauty of a lot of the music that we perform is it doesn't often come with words. And so it doesn't get to tell you, like a song is a song. If it's a love song, it's a song about love. And if it's a song about sadness, then it's a song. You're kind of being told through the power of words, because we all know words are powerful. But the power of music, and as Leonard Bernstein once said, an F sharp. What's an F sharp? An F sharp is an F sharp. It's just a note. But it's like he would say, what is that? What comes to mind? He's like, it's just a note. And then composers start organizing the notes together, and then it becomes a different thing. But that different thing is different for each individual. And I think, again, that's the beauty of art, and not just music. Same with like when you go to an art museum, you see the painting. It's the same thing. It's like, don't let this painter tell you what to feel. You're going to feel what you feel. Same with literary works. And I know I was just saying how the power of words have meaning, but even when you read something, it could mean something different to you individually, pertaining to or relating to what your life or your journey up to that point in life. And same with music. So back to your question about healing and grief, and what does this all mean? Again, that's the beauty of it, is like whatever you need it to be, whatever you would like it to be.
So you mentioned that you play in Tableau Number 4 by Tyson Davis, and it's a piece for bassoon, and you have different images on the screen while you're playing. Were you aware of those images when you were playing it?
I was not. As I performed it for the video, and I wanted to not edit too much, because I wanted to just do the whole piece. So I did that piece over and over again, and sometimes you have to kind of walk away from it, and then I'll come back to it. And I think coming back to it, I realized, oh, it went somewhere. Like it's been sitting with me now for a few days. Like I've been sleeping, I mean, like literally on this music. And I would wake up and I'm singing this music in my head, because I had just like played it a number of times the day before. And then the next time I approach it, I already, like, it's internalized. My connection is becoming deeper and deeper. So at the time that I felt, when I really thought, all right, I'm going to start like videotaping where I'm at with this now, because I had taped myself early on, and I thought, oh, they were pretty okay. They were, I thought, decent takes and decent performances. But I felt like at the end of the course of the week, I felt so much more relatable, or related to this work. I felt so much more like in depth. There's just felt like it was in my blood, my veins, my bloodstream, and I felt like I want to do this now with what's going on, because I had, again, all these emotions that I wanted to talk about. I was very moved, as many were last summer in particular, with the whole George Floyd thing. And I just remember, sorry to share this, but like I just remember like weeping, and from all of that, and for days and maybe even weeks, not just from him, but just the whole movement of yeah, it's and it's so many of it I would never understand. I will never understand what it's like to walk into a store and you know be looked at suspiciously, or have to worry when I pull over for a routine traffic violation. And those are the kinds of things I've never had to really worry about. But for whatever reason, it struck me deeply. Ties in a little bit to the Requiem in terms of a different kind of loss, different kind of feeling. So for me, in a way, there was that element as well. So I felt even more like emotional and expressive, and I wanted to put that in the music. And so at the end, I reached out to the composer Tyson Davis, and I said, "Do you have any images that you would like?" And then he sent some of these, the ones, especially the daunting ones, with some of the mass burials. And I was like as soon as I saw those, I was like, wow. I mean, and I totally understood. And as he was saying that, I decided to keep recording. And then those images, so I guess directly answering your question in a way, yes, I'm in a way, um, it made me think directly from the composer himself. Wow, it's like, okay, this is sort of very helpful to me. Um, and then some of those other images with the light and the trees, and those are my own. He said, add whatever you'd like. And I wanted to add those little glimpses of hope, because his music is so expressive, da, da, the way it begins, it's so like soulful and soaring. And then there are moments where it kind of just sort of lets loose, it's like sort of this, very intense expression and emotion. And then there are moments where you can feel that it eases up. And I saw those as little glimmers of hope and light, and I wanted to put that in the video as well.
Well, it's a really powerful, engaging piece. Thanks so much, Danny, for talking
Well,
to us.
thank you. I really appreciate you doing this. It's again, it's not just a matter of like these composers need to feel relevant. We all need to feel relevant, artists and all humans, but for each other. But even those who are listening, I want them to know that they're relevant too, and this is for them.
Well, it's a way of reaching out and connecting with people at a time when we are so isolated. It's kind of a virtual hug, maybe.
Absolutely, beautifully said. So thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Danny.